defense counsel because he asked for the charges to be served on him. And the defense counsel, who is his son, has said he will produce Yahaya on the next adjourned day so that they can arraign him. You can't fight the system. Whether he likes it or not, one day they will bundle him into this, and it will be a shame for that to happen. But we look forward to him coming and then facing the charges. I don't know if I've unpacked all the issues that are around there. If there's anything else I can talk on. Mm, mm. No, okay. Yeah. Um, Look, let me tell you some things. The school, American International School, has been in existence in Nigeria for over 50 years. My daughter went to Grange International School in Lagos, and we had a choice of American International School even at that time. Grange is over 60 years. American International in Lagos has been there. They've always charged in dollars. Let me explain to you why. Because it's an American, in fact, American International School, the one in Lagos, never used to finish up to our own SS3 because all the children went back to finish in America. So it was a school set up for their own embassy children and children of companies, American companies here that had their children there. They were not admitting Nigerian students until people started to say it's discriminatory and the rest of it. So if like precisely, and nothing against our law. They are not contravening anything because they are international schools that people set up. You know, the grade school I talk about is a British school, but they charge in Naira. Even the American International School, I'm sure they charge in Naira because in those days, some could pay in Naira, some could pay in dollars. You know, so I'm not sure that the school itself insists that it must be paid in dollars. Maybe the reason they accepted the dollar thing is to hedge against inflation, that dollar is dollar. There's no, it's a fixed cost. We don't have to call you back and say, okay, do this. So there is nothing you can fault the school by. When the school saw that they were investigating, despite the contract, the school refunded the money to EFCC. So they haven't, they are not, the school is saying if it is a proceed of fraud, we don't want it. In fact, it took them a long while before they even accepted to accept those the fees in the first instance. So the school hasn't got a problem at all. And there is no law against prepaying your school fees. Because I did this even when my daughter was in England as a medical student here. Because I was always so afraid that what if we didn't have money the next year? So anytime we had a lot of money, there was the school had an account, student's account. We just pay it into her account and it will show a credit. And when they had to deduct, they will deduct it and leave the balance in credit. So I don't see anything that stops anybody from paying. It was okay. He had 5 or so children, so that made it huge. If it had been one person that he prepaid, it's some people set up trusts for their children so that the payments are continuing to be. So he didn't do anything wrong in wanting to pay. What he did wrong is if the money came from the government, which it likely did. But what you suspect is not important. It is what you can prove. So the EFCC, because I know they've started prosecuting the matter, some witness has said that the dollars were changed. They took them to in one of the properties that he bought. They took them to a particular. The lawyer of the owner even testified that the owner of the property that was sold said, they want to pay dollars, that he's worried to go and check those people. I don't want trouble with them. He lives abroad. But in the long run, they convinced me that it was okay, this person, but they never met the governor, only the emissaries. So EFCC still has to trace monies from government into those properties or that school fees. Because right now what they've done is to hold on to evidence, hold on to money, because that money is evidence, and to just keep it. They must have a court order to forfeit it forever. And that is when they have tried the case. So it's like you want to preserve evidence. That's why you have asked for it to be given to you somewhere. And of course, Yahaya is upset that by taking that money back, the American International School has breached the contract. But American International School will get free out of that case because they can't say they will not obey the country EFCC. It's okay. Mm, mm, yeah, yeah. Mm, yes, yeah. There is, yeah, 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 yeah. Well, let us be honest with ourselves. Nigerian law does not allow people who trade in Nigeria to be charging in dollars, because I remember for properties when some people were charging rent in dollars. In fact, I had a few clients who were charging in dollars, and I used to put the naira first. And I'll say presently at this particular stage, equivalent to so, 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 and so dollars, because I know that our law does not allow us to use another foreign currency to transact business. But come off it. The federal government itself does business in dollars. All our businesses are dollar denominated. We, no, not all of them are external. Not all of them. Look at a situation in which our fuel, our customs, all these things are all charged in dollars. That is exactly what I'm saying. That means we are using the dollar as the denominator. Yeah, precisely. You remember I told you that I am not sure that the school insisted that he should pay in dollars, because I said it, that I'm not sure that he probably did that, and the school probably agreed to hedge against, since it's going to be a long-term thing, because it will increase the fees if dollars go up, and maybe that's why. Because throughout the time we were paying school fees in Lagos, we were paying in naira, not in pound sterling, and it was a British school. And all the British schools and other schools in Nigeria, actually, they can say pounds, but they collect naira. So I don't know. You see, I find it difficult to say categorically that he paid that dollars because the school charges dollars. I doubt, because I know. Yeah. Oh no, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. The ones I can answer, I will.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Convener, and sincere appreciation to Barrister Awokoya. And once again, I need to wish you many happy returns.
Thank you.
Yes, I sincerely, in agreement with your thoughts and the expression of facts, and most especially the correspondence that was released in 2022 regarding Yahaya Bello. And like you said, because citizens expected much from every government, particularly about prosecution of public officers who might have been alleged with corruption and all of that. And the same expectation was what was manifested in this present government. It had to, regardless the scenario that might, engulf the character and the personality of whoever is the president. But many of us believe that the new EFCC chairman, when he was appointed, with much vibrancy, the hope was also there that he was going to do the work effectively and drive home the expectation. And however, on the case of Yahaya Bello, he did not disappoint us because for even him to have uncovered and try as much as possible to bring out that case, who has been pending in EFCC, because like you said, and like he said himself, it wasn't a new case. It wasn't a new, scenario. It has been in existence. But however, the past EFCC chairman might be unable to have properly, to have investigated or properly, addressed that issue, because then Yahaya Bello was the governor in Kogi State. But now that the immunity...
Oh, sorry, just a second, if I may just stop you briefly. Okay. This letter that we are seeing from American International was in October 2022. So obviously that EFCC of the past, Bawa, at that time, I believe, had investigated. That's how they were able to go to the school to say, give us back the money, and the school refunded. So investigation, you can see all the cases I'm
Ongoing.
talking about, 2018, 2022. Every investigation was there and ready for, waiting for him till when he lost his immunity. So the only time they could bring him before the court is when he has lost his. You remember Fayose too? All the investigation were done, and immediately he stepped out, he was asked to report to EFCC. Of course, Fayose is still walking around free. You get what I'm saying? So the investigation was done. We have to accept that Bauer did his work, and he's left the file. So this new guy, Kayode Olukorede, was just ready with the information that he needed to start prosecuting, which he did.
And again, yes, another thought which I want us to look critically into is EFCC is expected to do the work with much vibrancy, with more tenacity than making the noise.
Yeah.
To us, we didn't think that Yahaya Bello was too special or too important to be arrested. That it has to now be turned to a public compodium. For example, the Nigerian police force brought out a correspondence saying they withdrew the police officers that were attached to it. People now make the joke of this issue on social media, particularly on Twitter. That is it now that this officer will have to leave Yahaya Bello, come back to the force headquarters in Abuja, and join the gang of the police officer who will now be looking for Yahaya Bello to arrest him. No. What they are doing is, if I can understand law enforcement, what they're doing is trying to prevent a clash that might result in death. Because you see, the aide-de-camp, the orderlies that are given to Yahaya Bello or to Ododo, their instructions are to protect him. It's the same police that has given them the instructions. If they are still there, they have to carry out the job of protecting him. My father was a judge, and we used to have orderly that travels around with us. And you can't, if another police makes an attempt to kill my dad, his orderly will shoot him. So in order to stop a bloodbath, they have to strip Yahaya, or they can't strip Ododo because he's still the governor. But they have to strip Yahaya of that official protection and recall them. So that way, there will be no clash between them, two police officers who are operating under authority. So the new police that now go to arrest him will be able to do their job. It's a problem with strategy. EFCC probably was not coordinating with the IGP. You understand? Otherwise, they wouldn't have had that problem. The IGP would have recalled those police officers earlier before EFCC. So perhaps EFCC did not alert or did not really think that they will resist, which they should have foreseen. It's all about strategy. But you know that Olukorede is not a law enforcement person. So he might not know that. And in our way of doing things in Nigeria, he might just have said, go and arrest him, without knowing that there are still some protocols. Look, I don't stand for any one of them. Me, as I'm talking to you, I'm just analyzing it and seeing what they should have done rightly. Those police officers would not have been outside their rights to shoot the others who came to arrest, because their duty is to protect the person they are protecting. So it was wise that EFCC, maybe it's the police that told them to come back, or EFCC withdrew at that time, because there would have been a bloodbath, and we can't be talking about that. Okay, but yes. Aside from the fact that there might have been a bloodbath, if there were to be an attempted arrest by the other officers, against the orderly for the protection. I'm sorry, I'm taking much of time.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
But I wanted to ask that, like many of us, when they are drafting, when we are picking up a job and they are drafting a job description and a modus operandi, there's always a particular clause that we are bound to undertake any other task that might be given to us by our supervisor.
No,
what is
police is different too. Police
okay,
are not.
but in that case, are we now saying that despite being the orderly of that governor, the IGP cannot also give them, because the IGP is the principal in this case, the IGP cannot give a contrary instruction to that orderly, you mean
by phone? You mean the IGP should phone the orderly?
Yeah, is it not possible?
There's a chain of command now. The IGP can only speak to the commissioner of police.
Yes.
The commissioner of police will speak
the IGP to AIG, yes, to the commissioner, to all of that.
And at that particular time, before all that is going through, what could have happened?
Okay, Ma, are we now saying?
There's nothing wrong in what you are asking. I'm just trying to say that.
Because the question is this: we've seen some cases of police arresting individuals within 24 hours. There are issues where people would have asked questions that, okay, are we saying this chain of command in communication were also properly executed before most of these arrests were done? Or, I think in this present day world, command instructions can be given within 15 minutes. We don't have to say, okay, because it has to travel from Abuja.
Hold on a second. You think the IGP should even be called in? It shouldn't even have gotten to the stage of the IGP, quite frankly. If it was Abuja, it should just have been maybe a commissioner. I don't know if there's a commissioner for police in IGP. I'm saying that the EFCC obviously did not involve the police. You see, one thing I keep on saying that with all quasi-law enforcement agencies like LAMA, LASMA, NDCC, all of them, they don't have the powers of arrest. They always have to take a police officer along with them. But I know the EFCC has the power of arrest. But that's why in the olden days, the EFCC chairmen used to be seconded from the police. And they used to be high up in position of, they would have been like the commissioner or DIG or something. They were that high. So they had that power. But here you have a EFCC chairperson who is not in the force. So what is his power of arrest? If he's going to go and get the EFCC people, is he going to have to tell the police that this is what I'm doing? Because he can't command them. He's not their controller. He can't. So he still needs the police. And I'm just saying, maybe he just used his own EFCC person, not anticipating the white lion, who is a fox. Look, all of us, I have been in practice when I was much younger. I've been in practice when, I might reveal this now because it was a lawyer-client privilege, so nobody can come and arrest me. But even we knew the way police operated. There was a client of mine that they wanted to arrest. He had committed some crime and he ran to hospital. He jumped from this fence. Overnight, the police had sealed his house in the night and he jumped from the fence to his neighbor's fence and went to hide in hospital before he sent a message to my farm that he was he was going to be arrested. And what did we do? We asked the doctor to please keep him there. He has BP, he has all these things. The police were outside the gate. Whilst we went to zone 2 to go and talk to the police that, can we bring him ourselves? He's sick, he's that, he's blah, blah, he's this, And we were able to bring him after about 1 week. And within that 1 week, I told him, the police are going to get your money. As you are lying in bed, don't think that you are safe. They are going to seal your accounts. So this morning, find a way to go and collect money that we will use to fight the case. So otherwise, they would have sealed your account. You will be able to get money and you won't be able to fight the case. So if people like us who are lawyers know the workings of a police, is it Yahaya that we don't know how the whole thing will be? So Yahaya must have known that, okay, if he can resist, they won't be able to do anything. Imagine if they started shooting each other. No, not one of them would have come out successfully okay. We would have blamed EFCC. Did he have to resort to that? Because there's a strategy now. If somebody does not want to come and be tried, you get an arrest warrant, you can't execute it. Now they've been able to get him, the lawyer will submit him, and he will still be arraigned. So I think Yahaya was misadvised, not submitted himself originally, or not the day of the arrest. Originally, when they called him, he should have been dignified enough to go there because he would have gotten bail. But now I like the fact that the EFCC chairperson drew back and now did the fight more in court.
Mr. Convener, just another 2 minutes. Yes, because yes, we are getting a better perspective to this issue. And again, citizens at a time were putting political scores and political undertone, sentiment into the issue between Yahaya's prosecution and all of that. Forgetting the fact that a corruption case is a corruption case which must be properly tried, investigated, and prosecuted. But at the same time, many of them were beginning to now say that this same Yahaya Bello, at a time, stepped on toes of the present president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who at certain time had wanted one of his key loyalists, to have emerged as the governor in Kogi State. For Yahaya, with collaboration with some structure and exercising his political powers, and dexterity in Kogi State, maneuver against the will of the then, the primary person, the key stakeholder of APC in Southwest, who had wanted one of them to become governor in Kogi State. So many were now beginning to see that even aside from that, he also contested the presidency with the current president in APC primaries. And here, where others were even on the verge of stepping down the likes of Fayemi and a lot of that, for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Yahaya Bello, at a time, also thought he has also what it takes to also become president. And they were now beginning to put the political sentiment into it. That couldn't have been because he wasn't one of the key loyalists of Asiwaju that is now being victimized. The way always try to put sentiment into issues. It was appalling to have seen some people from the same Kogi State where he invested in their treasury to have come out in Emad protesting that he should be protected and not, be arrested. So I want you to try and unravel the history and the connection between the political interpretation and sentiment as to the present reality and prosecution of that.
Shola, sorry, I hope you don't mind me calling you Shola. Shola, we live in a society in Nigeria where I always say that Nigerians are a bundle of should I call it we're a bundle of conspiracy theorists, one. Then we're a bundle of the unreason. Everything that does not make sense is a lot of our arguments are like that. We cannot separate facts from emotions. If Yahaya Bello stole, Yahaya Bello should face judgment. It's as simple as that. The law is no respecter of persons. But we also know that it is normal for real politicians to deal with their opponents. It happens all over the world, and they are vicious about it. Look at what is happening in Trump, and all the people are forgotten. The same thing you're accusing Nigerians of is what Trumpians in America are doing. They're taking emotions and forgetting the fact that Trump actually did some of these things. So it's a normal cry that people will say, witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt. Yahaya Bello, as regards the political thing you were saying, it wasn't Yahaya Bello's fault. It was the Supreme Court, or the courts at that time, after the man died, that actually said the other fellow who was deputy governor cannot inherit the votes of the late person, because that late person was the one that came out of the primaries. The deputy governor did not go through primaries. He was handpicked. So the deputy governor at that time, I think you are talking of Faleye or Faleke. Yeah. Faleke did not go through the primaries and he was only handpicked to become the deputy governor. So the votes cast were cast for the late Audu. But Yahaya had been part of the primaries. That's why Yahaya was picked instead of Faleke. So when we're looking strictly at the law, it isn't Yahaya's fault. It's like another good luck Jonathan that fate just bestowed that favor on him. And he became the governor. And he won election a second time. So it means that one way or the other, he had control or a grip over his party. And nothing stops him from aspiring to be president. Every Tom, Dick, Hillary, and Kat believes that they can rule Nigeria. I'm sorry, I don't mean it as a point of being rude, but there's a minister too, Uju, whatever, Kennedy, a lady minister who also contested in the primaries and stepped down for Asiwaju. She's been made minister for women affairs, and she keeps putting her feet in, not just one foot, but double, making a lot of mistakes all over the place. So that one too contested for presidency in the primaries and stepped. So it's not just Yahaya alone who was there. They had the APC had so many presidential candidates in the primaries. All of them, some of them only one vote for themselves. You know, after all, what of this man, the Reverend Father now, latter rain, Bakari? I think he scored just one vote. Maybe he voted for himself. So there's nothing wrong with anybody aspiring to be president. But I don't want to believe that the president of Nigeria, Asiwaju, will be that vindictive as to now say to the current EFCC chairman, go after him. I don't believe that. What I believe is that the EFCC man is seeing this thing and he's so shocked that he's getting his emotions into the whole thing wrongly. He ought not to be making emotional pronouncements because those things can come against him in the prosecution. If you've already done all this and you've whipped, said, look at what I've just told you. This thing started in 2020, but you acted as if he went and picked it up. Imagine if Yahaya miraculously escapes this. He can now sue EFCC for those statements made by the chairman. So when you are the chairman of a place, you should be a little bit, calm. Don't get emotional. Maybe it's because he's a pastor that he was so shocked. He almost was weeping at that drama. I just saw it as a theater arts, an episode of Alawada. And I just was not. Yeah, yeah. Mm. Mm. Don't even give yourself that headache. Don't give yourself that headache because it's not just Mr. Convener. Mr. Convener. I told you that Yahaya is charged with 19 counts. Mr. Yahaya is charged with 19 counts of money laundering. All of it is over trillion. So that's why I said, don't even give yourself a headache about that dollar. What they are charging him for is over trillions. When you calculate all that they said he laundered, And you now begin to wonder why there is no development in that area, you know. But the thing is this, that it depends on what EFC, you know, a crook is, there are some crooks that are so smart that it might be so difficult for you to catch them, you know. So you really, EFCC cannot just be playing with emotions. They need to be clinical, forensic. Every single person who is related to him, every wife, every girlfriend, every boyfriend of their girlfriend, every name of their children, every cousin, everybody, they should be cross-checking BVNs, cross-check. I'm sure they are doing it. Cross-checking money, because these monies, politicians use cash when they want things to be opaque. Some of this cash come from the thugs that collect fees in the markets. Are you getting what I'm saying? Dues that are collected from markets, security votes that come out but are given to people who bring it back to them in cash. So legitimately, some monies will be act as if it has gone out, or it has come back. So you have to, there has to be so much forensic accounting and piecing together. Then a lot of the things we don't, what we need are whistleblowers. The person who took that money and took it to that place on behalf of this person, the person who was involved, all of them turning to whistleblower. Those are the kind of evidence we need, not the evidence of, oh, we just saw that he bought a property. Because he could have bought the property through somebody, and that person might even be a real business person. There are some people who can help you launder money. Yeah. You see, that is convener. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But let me tell you, you are getting something, and this is where a lot of people get things wrong. Yeah, that's what I want to explain to you. That Yahaya does not have to prove his innocence. If it had been the French system of justice, in France, once you are accused, the onus to prove that you are innocent shifts to you. You will now be the one to say, this is how I made the money. But we don't run that system. We run a system of the British, the American, the Canadian, which is the state must prove beyond reasonable doubt. So Yahaya does not need to start explaining. We all know that he can't explain it. He's not doing any work that's other than being the governor. Prior to that, before he became the governor, what did he have to have shown that, oh, he was such a... If somebody like Dangote becomes the head of state, nobody will challenge him and say, where did he get this money from? Because we would all know that he had means. Yahaya didn't have that means. So something is obviously funny, but he does not need to prove it. That I got the money from clean source. That is not our law. Yes. He doesn't need to say anything. It is for the EFCC who says you are a rogue to prove. You know, Buhari used to say it. He said when he was president, as a military man, he gathered all the people And he said, you are corrupt. And he locked them up. Go and prove that you are not corrupt. Yeah. And in the long run, he got his fingers burnt because that's not our jurisprudence. So Yahaya still has that benefit of the doubt. Now, you can't call him guilty until it is proved. So we hate it. We don't like it. But that is why we need to put systems in place that will stop people from finding it easy to steal. But look at one of those those instruments under our law, which is declaration of assets. In this particular administration, nobody has told us that they declare their assets. And when somebody like me, mention such a thing online, people will say, how do I think that they would have been sworn in without declaring an asset? How do you declare your asset without being sworn in? You can only you are only now compelled to declare your asset after you have attained that position. So when people say that, how do I think that they would not have declared their asset? We need to know that the president has declared his asset, the vice has, every governor has declared. But nobody has told us. I'm not even saying I want to see what they declared, but just for CCB to say, oh, they have all declared, we have it. But then during the time of Buhari, people were even scrutinizing. They've said, show it to us, show it to us. But nobody, all the civil society organizations, all of them, nobody is asking for asset declaration. Now, if I don't know what you brought in, how will I be able to judge when you leave? Because that would have been a sure way to know those whose income suddenly blossomed and bludgeoned during their administration. Then accounting, the treasury single account that the former president set in place, Wike has been removed from the treasury single account. Abuja, Federal Capital, has been taken out of that. So Wike now has the apparatus to control his own fund. So who's going to catch Wike? So there's a lot. That's why people don't like me much, because all I'm saying is I don't want to have to be suspecting people of corruption. Just do the right things and do things right, so that at least we can be able to defend you and say, this is what you did. If you follow the laws, you will be able to find, even if you are crooked, you will still be able to hide your crookedness, because you would have at least clothed your crookedness with some sort of legality. But here, everybody just allows, and it comes to us as citizens. We don't want the truth. We don't want people to actually deal with us properly. We love the rascality of our own person. We don't care. So and I keep on saying it, that until you educate the citizens to actually see this as a call to governance, every one of us. I mean, I need to know what my local government earns. If my local government doesn't get the money it's supposed to get from the state, something has happened to my life. Because then I cannot challenge the local governments if I don't have street lights, if I don't have an abattoir, if I don't have. And the states have taken over. I did this in another interview with another person. The states have taken over all the powers that the local government have to generate revenue. The states have taken, especially in Lagos State, they've taken over the markets from them. They've taken over. We now have an Iyabo general. Meanwhile, markets are supposed to be local government duties. So there's a lot of parking. Last park in Lagos State has become a state parastatal. Meanwhile, parking is a local government function. So a lot of things are getting muddled up because the citizens don't know the law, and they can't be bothered to try to enforce it. So when they see people like us who insist on it, they term us as troublemakers. you know, and how do you want us to develop? So that's what I'm saying, that we might make a lot of noise, but as a lawyer, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, if EFCC is not careful, they might just lose some of those cases. You know, they might lose some. Do you know how many people are laundering money from abroad? Fraud money, drug money. A lot of those things are coming into our system now. So if somebody helps Yahaya to buy and it is his own name on it, maybe the 19 they have, maybe they are even up to 50 that they have not seen. You don't seem to know what corruption is doing in Nigeria. I know particularly that a lot of these monies come from security votes. And security vote, what can you say? I know of a time during military, during DFRI, where my uncle was given a contract in Ondo State to go and cut grass. Directorate of Food, Roads and Rural Infrastructure, to go and just make a road by using a caterpillar, to just grade the road. And I said, Uncle, in 3 months, now, the grass would have grown. And he said, but so those were the kind of contracts. If somebody gave you a contract and in 3 months later they came to check and you told them that, can't you see sign of a earth moving vehicle here? Can't you see that caterpillar tigbabi ikoja? But it has grown. You understand? So you might not even have done it. You could have called somebody to just go and cut. That money is gone. And it cannot be recovered, and the fellow has satisfied the contract. So there's so many of such way out contracts. Can't you remember the contract of grass cutting that the former SGF was cut for? Is this kind of thing? Yeah, 600 million to cut grass. He went to cut and he won. You know? Yeah. No, he wasn't. He wasn't awarded that contract then. It was a company. You guys don't know corruption. It was a company that he claimed to have left when he went into power. The fact that you leave the company, you resign as director, or even transfer your shares, does not mean you don't have the clout. That's why the same people are complaining about you removed Betta Edu, but Betta gave the current Tunji Ojo or something, Bumi Ojo or whatever, the current minister, contracts to his company. But we Nigerians have excused Bumi Ojo, and people are even saying that, so are you saying that because you have been in a company, you must never ever get a contract? You understand? So if people are okay with excusing these things, where do we stop? So until the people themselves actually want to stand up for Nigeria and not for persons and personalities, it's practically our funeral. That's all I can say.
But
all right.
yes, ma. Yes, I just want to ask at this time again. I listened to our last statement about people standing up for the right things to be done by these public officers. But another thing I want to say is this: it has been evident that our system in this country also encourage, corruption and corrupt practices. Because like the case of the man who was asked to cut the grass and all of that. So easily, our politicians to also understand that we have loopholes and some lacunas in the organizational structure in our system, which many of them hide under that. And man, I want to ask, is it possible for people to rise against the system when this system has been perceived to be bastardized? can the voices of the people now try to supersede, despite the bad intention and the framework that has been in system to encourage corruption and corrupt practices? Is that realistic, ma'am?
Let me just say to you that contracts for cutting grass have to be done. Grass cannot continue to grow because maintenance is part of a normal thing. I'm just saying that there is nothing wrong in that contract. What is wrong is the person who awarded the contract already knowing that it's an avenue for stealing, because we are not monitoring it. When contracts are awarded, the last administration tried to set up a monitoring unit for anything that is done to be monitored, that it is done. I think the current administration is also saying that it's going to do such a thing. We need, in private practice, I'm a development consultant, so I work for a lot of these multilateral institutions. When we start a project, monitoring comes along. We call it monitoring and evaluation. And when we talk about monitoring, we're looking at indicators of achieving. Performance indicators are set. If I'm to cut a grass, then I want to know that I have used certain chemicals that will keep that grass. What is the result, the outcome I expect? That place should be motorable for the next 1 year at least. So I would have set performance standard that after you cross, you must treat with this chemical, you must do this, I won't leave all those details open and just say, go and cut grass. Everything will be spelled out. And then before you are paid this, I will come and investigate to see that you did the work before you are doing this. You understand? But here, we don't really often have those performance indicators crafted into the contract. And when you don't have indicators, if somebody doesn't do the work, how are you going to judge that he didn't do it? Then we need community monitoring. Like I remember when I was talking to Loma in Lagos, I had a meeting with one of them because I was thinking that they needed a system of, the consumer, the clients actually reporting to them. They are relying on the person who is coming to collect the waste to say that he did it. But what of we, the people whose wastes are being collected? We should be the independent verifiers of whether that contractor did his work. Because the contractor will always tell you he did it. So I was setting up a system. Well, I advised them on a system that they should have representatives in every street who will have a direct link or something on a system, a computer system, to say this came in, they collected our waste this week. So that sitting in your office, because they are independent monitors, you will just see Excel. Even ordinary Excel will show you a lot of statistics. You will just see those that are not performing independently. Then if somebody says you have not paid me, you can say, look at your record, because it's independent. And you don't even need to let the collectors know. So those kind of systems have to be in place for government contracts, the independent monitors of whatever it is. Because if you're doing something in my state, I have to be able to say I can see it. It is being done. So all this one that our ministers will be traveling all over to go and be looking, and all they will do is that this road they have not done well, this one. You don't need it. By the time 50 people are calling your helpline to say, we have not seen contractor, you yourself will know. That is how you build grassroots support and grassroots ownership of a project. If nobody takes ownership of what you are doing, it's nobody's business. So those are kind of things that community, we, the human beings, the people, have to rise up. That's how we defend whichever party we voted for, so that we'll be able to say they did this work. But if we don't monitor it, a lot of politicians will game the system. There's nothing, I keep on saying is that there's not much wrong with our laws. Our body of laws, we took them wholesale from systems that already had bodies of law. So we are not lacking in laws. Even the building, the roads that we construct, we are not the ones who came up with these parameters. Our roads are the same standards as a lot of other places, because we didn't invent any new wheels. We are adding. So there's no, what I'm trying to tell you is that there's nothing that we lack in form of laws. Our systems are there. It is corrupted systems, but the systems are not wrong. Eh? Yes. Yeah.
Very well, sir. Very well. Thank you.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Good evening, like that. Yes, Ma, firstly, I want to appreciate you for honoring our invitation always and for always going to every length to share your knowledge with us. It's not easy, but we have to take it some more. But there's something when you said the EFCC have the right to arrest, but they have to inform the IG because the head of EFCC is not a member of the Nigeria police or the law enforcement agency. So my point is, why do we always give rooms for in our law? Then secondly, even at the point of doing that, even when they want to arrest the criminal, at the point of doing that, anyone within the police system can sabotage that. Must we continue this way, or is there a way out of it? Thank you, Ma.
Yes. You see, it is not the fault of the law or the fault of a system if people don't do the right things. Look, you want to arrest a former governor. A normal person should expect some resistance, especially if you have been calling him and he did not risk assessment and risk analysis. Many people don't do it. If I knew that kind of situation, if I were in that kind of situation, I would be talking to the IGP directly to say, look, we need to execute this warrant of arrest, and how should we go about it? Because we expect we might have a problem with this man. The agencies of Nigeria should not be working at cross purposes, especially if they are all law enforcement. Having to create an EFCC in the first instance is a very, very sad thing for Nigeria, because really the unit of police should have been able to handle most of these things, and they should just have been strengthened. But in Nigeria, we love to just create so many different agencies rather than strengthening the one. Why do we need a crime? Abroad, we see that there's a fraud crime, there's a cyber unit, there's a this unit, but it's still the Nigerian police force. So the FCC Act still requires work hand in hand with them. So if they are going to, I can never excuse Yahaya. I've said that he was ridiculing our law. He did a lot to undermine the law, and I pray that when he gets to court, he's granted bail in some terms that he won't be able to pay, and he's locked up for a while before he is able to perfect his bail. So that that act of thinking he can get the system, I want him to see that and learn that the law is heavier and bigger than him. But that said, you don't want to create uproar and then to make the public to even lose confidence in your own system. So it's no point why they should not have gone there. The police would have withdrawn his support and they would have been able to arrest him. Are you getting it? If you remember correctly, when the former president was out of the country and the vice president, Oshibaju, was acting president, you remember that the DSS went to the National Assembly and started doing all sorts of things, and they didn't have a right. DSS is